2021 had so many good movies, but even though I missed out on a couple, there were still plenty that resonated with me. Starting with a bang, Godzilla vs. Kong is exactly what it's marketed to be, a giant monkey fighting a nuclear lizard, and I'm all about it. The plot is secondary to its insane spectacle, but it doesn't disappoint. Godzilla wasn't playing, and I was actually endeared to Kong. I hope we get more. We finally got the Snyder Cut, all 4 hours of it, a vast improvement to what we originally got, and I really appreciated Zack Snyder's actual vision. Marvel also delivered, such as with Eternals, motifs of heroism coupled with strong family dynamics. It had visceral cinematography with both cosmic scope and tragic storytelling. I mean, at the end of the day, we got a Robb Stark-Jon Snow reunion, and that's all I really wanted, and I'm hoping to see Richard Madden again in the future of the MCU. Shang-Chi was a hyper-stylized action blast with its own vibe, and Black Widow was a poignant send-off for Natasha, but also introduced us to the charming Yelena. And then James Gunn's The Suicide Squad deserves all its praise and was well worth the wait. Hyper-violent, wickedly funny, and emotionally poignant, it is equally bizarre as it is beautiful. The outstanding cast delivers something chaotically fun and memorable. One of DC's best. The Tomorrow War was a fun sci-fi action flick which gave us an OP, horrifying alien design in the White Spikes. When they're first introduced, it's straight out of a nightmare. And speaking about awesome alien design, we also got A Quiet Place Part 2, which upped the violence and action. When it comes to horror, these were some of my favorites. Malignant is over-the-top insanity. Wan delivers an absurdly ridiculous and very unique supernatural slasher that takes great cues from B-movies of the past, but it still somehow delivers shocking twists in satisfying ways. Be unprepared, it's a good fucking time. The Conjuring: The Devil Made Me Do It's biggest triumph isn't in its scares, but in its invested connection that the audience has had with the Warrens. The chemistry between Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga continues to be electric, and watching them take on evil just feels good. I am so grateful that I stumbled upon Gaia, an eco-horror that's visually beautiful and unsettling at the same time. Survivalists have to wrestle with philosophical, psychedelic, and very real terrors in the form of relentless cordyceps-infected clickers straight out of the Last of Us video game. If you're down for that, but also want a good eco-horror, then this is for you. But hands down, The Vigil was my favorite. It gave me chills. Immersive with both its brutal sound and Jewish folklore, I was fully invested in the supernatural horror. Watching Yakov wrap the Teflon around his arm with such intensity as he got ready to face the Mazik was fucking electric and sublime. This is what I call triumphant horror. However, my top favorite films of the year begin with Adam McKay's Don't Look Up. Funny, infuriating, passionate, and satiric. It's technically a disaster movie, but it's really a cousin movie to McKay's other film, The Big Short. The star-studded cast all deliver, especially Jennifer Lawrence and Leonardo DiCaprio, but while wickedly funny, the movie made me feel terrible, and I think that's the point. Last Night in Soho was a lot creepier and horror-focused than I initially thought it was gonna be. It has a banger soundtrack, stellar visuals and color, and it keeps you guessing until the very end. And yes, Thomas Mackenzie, Anya Taylor-Joy is also the woman of my dreams. Okay, there are so many thoughts and feelings that I have about Lamb. A24 once again distributes something unorthodox, a bizarre Icelandic folktale that introduces us to the cutest eldritch horror of all time. I keep showing this movie to people and they think I'm crazy, but I just can't stop watching it. Ridley Scott's The Last Duel is a gnarly historical drama that depicts a stylized, indulgent, and powerful critique on 14th century misogyny and class. The subtle changes between accounts of what happened to Marguerite de Carouge were superb, especially once we got that violent ending. Excitingly, musicals reached the top of my favorite films this year, and all of them involved Lin-Manuel Miranda for some reason. Starting with Encanto, I cannot express how catchy the songs are and how much I listen to the family madrigal and the relatable family drama. Tick Tick Boom is unapologetically loud and bombastic with its musical and stylistic performances. Enough can't be said about Andrew Garfield. He became Jonathan Larson, and watching him was mesmerizing. This is a great way to adapt a musical, full of love and full of hope. But then, if I have to be honest, my favorite for sure was In the Heights. It's a gleeful celebration of culture, heritage, and community. The outstanding direction and choreography, mixed with the engaging musical performances, really made for a perfect, vibrant movie-watching experience. I immediately had the soundtrack on heavy repeat. Wasn't gonna watch this originally, so thank you to my mom who wanted to watch it. But regardless of all these amazing movies, how could my favorite be anything less than Spider-Man: No Way Home? A movie that was insanely hyped. There was no way it could meet expectations, yet it still delivered a profound experience for Spider-Man fans of all generations. We got Tobey Maguire, we got Andrew Garfield. The fact that 3 different cinematic Spider-Men could come together, learn from one another, and be there for one another was cathartic. Yes, there were better movies objectively this year, but nothing, absolutely nothing, can beat that audience theater experience. A theater full of people screaming and cheering. A theater full of fans who are connected with you in that moment, absolutely loving what's on the screen as much as you do. This was the culmination of 20 years of storytelling. As a kid, I watched Toby. As a late teenager, I watched Andrew. And now as an adult, I get to experience Holland. The payoff to this movie was unreal. It was simply magical. You had to have been there. There was a good mix of different things to watch this year, and some of my personal favorites included Cobra Kai. My mom and I actually spent all of January just watching seasons 1 through 3, and we had a blast. Watching it together, you know, we loved the karate action, and to see these characters again, but in a new twist, was so much fun. Marvel came in clutch with their Disney Plus lineup. It was actually great, with WandaVision starting us off. We had Hawkeye, which was good Christmas fun. I loved The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I thought this was some of its strongest showcasing. And then Loki was a fucking standout. I had no reason to want to like Loki, but this show just showed me exactly why Marvel does what they do and how the MCU just kicks ass at characterization. Animation was also on point this year. Invincible was a great violent cartoon that paid respect to Kirkman's original material. My Hero Academia's 5th season was fun, and I loved the Endeavor Agency arc. JoJo's Part 6, Stone Ocean, started in December, and I love seeing Jolene take on all kinds of threats to save her dad. Demon Slayer's Entertainment District arc has been super enjoyable, and I'm excited to see where things go for our heroes. And then, I was introduced to Jujutsu Kaisen. It's been a wild ride, and it kind of reminds me of both Bleach and Yu Yu Hakusho, but with its own flair and style. I love its self-aware nature, its dynamic visuals, and then the focus on horror and film studies. Yuji Itadori is such a likable protagonist, and I'm all about the vibes that this team gives off. Does it remind me of Naruto? A little bit, but this dynamic is its own thing, and I love it so much. Also, Aoyu Todo is one of my favorite anime characters ever. Seeing this walking disaster of muscles gives me life, and I love his whole best friend brother vibe he has going on with Yuji. Both bizarre and wholesome in the best ways possible. I look forward to the next season, and this is quickly becoming one of my favorite anime of all time. However, my favorite show of 2021 has to be the Netflix limited series Midnight Mass. A huge shout out to Mike Flanagan for delivering another introspective horror series that left me feeling profound. A healing meditation on faith. Growing up Catholic, this really hit me hard. It's a sermon steeped in grief, guilt, religion, and Nosferatu vampires. The monologues were so well done, and I was absolutely enraptured in Monsieur Pruitt's words and actions. Hamish Linklater delivered one hell of a performance, and the series gives me hope that a modern adaptation of Salem's Lot can work. Please check out this awesome show if you haven't. The beginning of the year was fucking awesome because I got to experience Gears of War for the first time. A bunch of jacked up muscleheads killing a bunch of jacked up lizard monsters. Thank you, Xbox Game Pass. I loved how each game built on the lore, the weapons, and the mechanics. God, in that moment where Don finally reunites with his wife, fucking destroyed me. It's an amazing trilogy, and it's amazing how the game about beefy, jacked up Marines can still have so much emotional depth. I will forever cherish my time with Delta Squad. I also had a lot of fun with the Star Wars Battlefront 2 campaign, shooting my blaster rifle on Endor, taking down AT-AT walkers, and flying TIE fighters through space was very immersive. I was surprised at the level of care and attention put into the story, and I absolutely loved Eden Versio's character and story. She was a great protagonist with a lot of spirit and heart. She was a bad bitch for sure, and I loved her in Inferno Squad. I hope to see more of her in other Star Wars media. I was able to explore the rich and beautiful world of Days Gone, and I was fully immersed in this open world, biker zombie drama. For 2 months, I had the time of my life, hunting deers, collecting zombie ears, and upgrading my motorcycle. Everything from its immersive gameplay, leveling system, and compelling story has really enraptured me. Nothing was better than coming home after a long day at work and exploring the Oregon mountains. In March, I finally finished ripping and tearing through Doom Eternal's second DLC, The Ancient Gods Part 2. And though it was a bit short, it was still challenging and rewarding. It's a bombastic and cinematic final act that has us take on the Dark Lord in ritualistic combat. And there's so many standout moments. It's all that I wanted. For a DLC to give me so much, this could be its own little mini game. Rip and tear, and now it is finally done. Resident Evil Village was super fun and one of my favorite games this year. I enjoyed this game so much more than I thought I would, and Ethan proved to be a worthwhile protagonist, and I had such a blast upgrading weapons and fighting all manners of creepy monsters. A mix of survival horror and cinematic action, it feels like RE7 mixed with some of RE4. The atmosphere works, the replay value is nuts, and there are so many reasons to keep coming back to this game over and over again, which I did throughout the year. Being a huge Chris Redfield fan, nothing felt better than leading Wolf Squad into the village and taking on hordes of werewolves. I am very happy he wasn't the bad guy, and I look forward to the next installment. But regardless of all these great games, my favorite this year has to be Metroid Dread. I have waited so long for a new Metroid game, and this one was a fucking surprise. Playing as Samus one more time as I look for all of my suit upgrades while going back and forth a rich alien world was everything I expect and love about the Metroid franchise. I can see people's frustrations with the game's lack of a soundtrack, but as far as issues with the narrative, I personally really enjoyed the Doom 2016 style of storytelling, where the combat is the main focus and the lore and narrative are there if you pay attention. The game really delivers some outstanding cinematics, bosses, and I think they really nailed Samus's characterization in her nuanced performance while looking absolutely badass in all those different suit modifications. Also, like many have mentioned already, it's funny how the Chozo's solution to things getting out of hand is to just blow up the planet. So we can see where Samus gets this. Overall, this game is sleek, it's fun, it looks nice, it plays nice, it's pretty challenging, but if you're a fan of Metroid, it's definitely for you. This is what I wanted all year. It's not for everyone, but it sure as hell was for me. When it comes to my favorite music of 2021, that's where things get a little tricky because there were so many great albums this year. But I really listened to a sampling of almost everything. Raúl Alejandro blended genres with his absolute banger, Todo de Ti. Lisa came to drop some money, and I was right there with her. Sarah Cawthron hit me with all the feels with her beautiful cover of As the World Caves In. Olivia Rodrigo busted out her own rendition of Misery Business, and then Willow Smith reminded me to meet her at our spot. But some of the standout albums for me included Doja Cat's Planet Her, which delivered some immediately catchy and euphoric tracks that are instantly recognizable. Get Into It and You Right were on heavy repeat for me personally, and her feature on Saweetie's Best Friend was an immediate anthem that always gets me hyped. Lil Nas X kept delivering awesome single after awesome single, so having a complete album to house bangers like Montero, Industry Baby, and That's What I Want was great. I love how he combines his own personality into his pop music because it delivers a product that feels genuine and that makes his music hit that much harder. And then on the heavy side of things, I absolutely loved Waking the Cadaver's Authority Through Intimidation. Far from the days of being the shredded wheat guys, this album is a gratuitous mess of sludgy grindcore and death metal that is so empowering when played at full blast in your car. You can feel the enthusiasm these guys have for their music, and I loved how fucking heavy every single track is. But really, if I had to pick my absolute favorite music of the year, then this year would be the year of the musical. There were so many film musicals that had me immediately checking my Apple Music account for the album to listen to on repeat throughout the day. Through repeat listens, I learned that I want a little bit of everything all of the time, that we don't talk about Bruno, that you might not want to be shaking your ass for like half of the heights, or that I was afraid that you'd be afraid if I told you that I was afraid of intimacy. I mean, musicals are so much fun. Bo Burnham's Inside was a stroke of musical theater. All Eyes on Me and Goodbye are such methodical masterpieces of this generation's woes. They are hauntingly beautiful, as is his Netflix special. Encanto gave us some truly magical ballads that are just as much fun to listen to as they are to watch. They made me want to get up and dance. Tick Tick Boom gave us the late great Jonathan Larson songs performed by a talented ensemble of actors, including one amazing Andrew Garfield. 3090, No More, Johnny Can't Decide, Therapy, and Louder Than Words have all been on heavy repeat as I worked on my projects. And then special shout out to Andrew Garfield and Alexandra Shipp's catchy rendition of Green Green Dress. That song was on a single repeat for like 5 days straight. I couldn't get enough of it. And then the sexy and rhythmic songs from In the Heights have been my most listened to songs this year. From salsa to rap to pop, there is such an awesome mix of musical talent. It breathes a sense of culture. Anthony Ramos is able to seamlessly flow from rap to sing-song so effortlessly. Leslie Grace brings a tear to my eye whenever she belts on the track Breathe. And then Carnaval del Barrio is an absolute celebration of Latin and Hispanic culture. It's a fucking anthem. And you have to do yourselves a favor and check it out. 2021 was a great year for comics, and I read some outstanding stories, both old and new. All New Captain America Hydra Ascendant was a great 6-issue adventure. I absolutely adored Spider-Woman shifting gears. Seeing Jessica so full of personality with such colorful and energetic art was super fun. The moments where Superman said goodbye to his family as he left Earth to take on Mongol was emotive storytelling at its best. Leave it to Tom Taylor to give us meaningful super family stories. Got to read more on Cindy Moon, who is such a lovely and relatable character, as well as get to catch up on Ben Reilly, both in his past Clone Saga and Lost Years issues, as well as his present adventures, thanks to @StuffIShouldSay on Twitter. Ultra Mega was something special, with its horrific, violent, and electrifying art, and a deeply intriguing and spectacular homage to 80s action films and 90s OVA anime. It is American tokusatsu that feels both epic and fresh. Huge shout out to Peppermint Gentleman for bringing it to my attention. Power Rangers also had a great year, but a standout for me was Power Rangers Unlimited Heir to Darkness #1. It was a perfect side story. McKinney writes a dynamic Corone and a perfect Ecliptor. Seeing them on the comic book page brought a huge smile to my face. I never knew how much I wanted young warrior Astronema and protective dad Ecliptor adventures. This is world building done right. We also get a young Astronema and Ecliptor in Power Rangers #5, which was awesome because it felt like a dope western, and I love the parallel characterization between Jason and Astronema. I see lots of potential there. Hickman's X-Men also continued to deliver outstanding stories this year. Huge shout out to the ending of X-Factor and Hellions. Both series gave me characters I originally didn't care for and elevated them on such a high level that by the time it was over, I didn't want to say goodbye. And then Duggan's Cable series was also outstanding with his expert slice of life style of storytelling and Noto's signature art. The series was jam-packed with cameos. Seeing Cable and Rachel positively interact to save the day is a highlight. I like the Cable-Esme dynamic, and that Emma and Scott are still obviously a thing. It's all a hodgepodge of weird family drama. Overall, it finally escalated into a fun, explosive, and cathartic ending for young Wi-Fi. And then, we also had the Hellfire Gala, which delivered a fresh and unique comic event experience, which peaked at the masterful planet-sized X-Men. Fuck. Hickman once again reaches a new milestone and breaks new ground with the mutants by having them terraform Mars into planet Araco. It was such a cool surprise and gave me the same feelings of awe and astonishment when I first read through House of X. But Hickman's story also worked on a smaller scale, and so his conclusion to the Into the Vault storyline was some of the best storytelling all year. X-Men number 19 delivers a stellar conclusion to Darwin, Laura, and Sync's time in the Vault. It's a high-stakes epic, and where Hickman's vision for the X-Men continues to be profound. Exciting, insightful, and poignant, its greatest accomplishments, though, are in its tender moments with Sync and Wolverine. That's how you get invested in characters. And then Batman also had an awesome year, with lots of standout moments from Tynion and his team. The Fear State event has some beautiful art from George Jimenez, which works perfectly for Batman's world. But what really made this year special was Batman's emphasis on family. Nightwing was a return to greatness, Barbara got to shine as Oracle once again, Jason was fully embraced into the family. We finally got an ongoing Batgirls title, and then even Damian had a fun redemption arc with lots of fighting and lots of heart. The Wayne Family Adventures was a godsend and showcases exactly why people love the Bat family and how we want more slice-of-life stories with Bruce's adoptive kids. Hell, we even got a kick-ass new character with Ghostmaker. Basically, Tynion gave Batman a Gary Oak tier rival. I love these two chaotic bastards so much. And then lastly, this was a great year for Harley Quinn. I absolutely accept her as an official member of the Bat family, and seeing her come so far to help Batman and his team has brought a huge smile to my face. But if I'm honest, there was one comic that stood above the rest. There's no doubt in my mind that the Nightwing Leaping into the Light 6-issue story has been the best comic I've read all year. Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo created a profound showcase of exactly why Dick Grayson is the standard that all heroes should strive to be. At its heart, it's an emotional and triumphant story highlighting tender and heartfelt moments between Dick and those that he loves, Barbara, Tim, Clark, and Bruce. But it also manages to showcase a touching goodbye to Alfred while also being a triumphant beginning for Dick. Overall, Tom Taylor's Nightwing is more than just amazing comic book writing, it is essential storytelling. So do yourselves a favor and check it out. 2021 was a great year for toy collectors, and after some difficulty, I managed to come up with a list of my favorite action figures of the year. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to review each one of these on the channel because of my schedule, but as far as detail, articulation, and overall feel, these are the toys that brought me the most joy this year. McFarlane Toys did not play with this Red Hood Jason Todd. The detail, the articulation, he's big and imposing, and then the way the sleeves are cut off, ooh, this is a perfect toy. And then McFarlane Toys even took it a step further by giving us a comic-accurate Damian Wayne. I've wanted a Damian Wayne Robin for so long, and now I have him. And he's perfect because he's scowling, but on top of that, he is a lot of fun to play with. The Halloween 2018 reboot gave us an awesome Michael Myers, and NECA went above and beyond to bring him into real life. Because this toy, everything from the way that the plastic is molded to the actual appearance, and again, it's a very tall, clunky toy. It's perfect for what Michael Myers embodies. I didn't think I'd care about the film version of Venom through Marvel Legends, but this is a nice toy. For how big he is, he's actually very articulate, comes with a couple of different heads and hands, and he looks just adorable, but also menacing at the same time. So this is definitely a toy that I play with a lot. The Gamerverse Miles Morales Spider-Man looks like he came right out of the video game. The detail that they put in the sculpting, as well as everything else, makes this a older Miles that goes really well with the rest of my Spider-Man collection. I've been waiting for a toy like this for a while. And then, of course, if we're talking about big-ass plastic that looks so comic accurate, Nimrod is the way to go. He was part of a 3-pack, didn't care for the other two, needed Nimrod, because this is the dude that fucks up the X-Men. And of course I needed this big baddie. Even though he's a really thick piece of plastic, he's still a lot of fun to pose, and he looks good next to my other Marvel Legends. Two of my favorite toys this year happen to be custom figures. I was so tired of not having a Monet and Rachel Summers Marvel Legend, and like a godsend, I discovered the incredibly talented Secret Identity Customs on Instagram. Please support him, because he created some super detailed toys that fit so well with my other X-Men. They're fucking amazing. Revoltech and Amazing Yamaguchi gave me a perfect Bakugo. I thought the Figma was good, but this one just blows it out of the water. Detail, articulation, posing, extra stuff, he's great. One Shot Toys delivered an anime-accurate superposable Spirit Detective. He is so much fun and fits perfectly next to my Figma and Figuarts anime figures. Best anime toy I got all year. And then there's the Lim Toys unofficial Leon Kennedy from RE2 remake. Hyper-realistic, cloth clothing, great articulation, 1/12 scale, and an insane amount of accessories. I went from not having any RE toys to now having a perfect Leon. It doesn't get any better than this. So many awesome collectibles, and here's to hoping that 2022 has even more amazing action figures.